Well, to this now. The unemployment rate in South Africa has ticked up. Stats SA data shows that the unemployment rate rose to 33.6% in the second quarter. That's up 0.9% increase compared to the first quarter. The number of unemployment now stands at 8.5 million, up 345,000 between April and the end of July. For more on this, we're joined by Stats SA General, that is Risenga Maluleke. General, good evening. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. Perhaps to start the conversation here, to get a full scope of the picture, by how much has the unemployment numbers gone up or down, and by how much? Well, clearly gone up, 345,000. But how does that compare to sectors that may have seen job increases across the same quarter compared?
Let us look at it this way, in that the number of people that are unemployed that have gone as an increase in terms of unemployment are not coming from new entrants into the labor markets. These are people of working age who were in the discouraged workership. They had actually looked for work until they are discouraged. Now they have entered the labor markets to look for employment. And as such, they have increased the number of the unemployed to 8.5 million, which is the highest we have seen since we introduced the quarterly labor force survey. Having said that...
Can I pause you on that? Can I pause you on that? So just for clarity, in the quarter compared, by how much has the expanded definition of unemployment changed by? And that would include active job seekers plus discouraged job seekers.
The active job seekers are 8.5 million. Those are the ones that are representing your 33.6% headline unemployment rate, because as a country we are tracking the narrow definition as a headline percentage. Now, when we take the 8.5 million job seekers that are actively looking for employment, plus 3.6 million discouraged work seekers, plus another 865,000 who didn't look for employment, but would have taken up employment had it been available, and not because they were discouraged when they didn't look for employment, plus another 44,000 who looked for employment but were not ready to take up employment because they are still finishing exams or making arrangements for someone to look after their children or transport arrangements to go to work. We come to 13.1 million. That is what we call your combined rate of unemployment plus the potential labor force. That is what traditionally we used to call the expanded unemployment numbers. But that at the time didn't include the people who looked for work but were not available to take up work immediately.
Yeah, that index notwithstanding, what is the variance of the totality of that number in the quarter measured compared to the same quarter last year and compared to the quarter preceding it this year?
What we do is that let us look at where we were in terms of the quarter, the previous quarter. The previous quarter we're sitting at 13 million. So we have gone up by about 100,000. In terms of where we were sitting about a year ago was about 12.5 million people. So, but the percentage last year was sitting at about 42%, and now we are sitting in the excess of 43%.
Okay. Well, let's then talk about the sectors of the economy that seems to be presenting as most elastic and most vulnerable to whatever the market conditions may be, that shed the most jobs but also absorb the most jobs. Which sectors stood out for you in the quarter measured?
Let us start off by saying that when you look at industries quarter on quarter, there's no consistency in terms of industries that will stay and create jobs. But in particular for this quarter that we are reporting on, the industry that created more jobs was the industry of trade. 70,000 jobs that we have seen that came in. But those that lost in the majority in the form of jobs was community and social services. We lost 57,000 jobs, and that was largely in government, where you look in the health sector and education sector. We also lost 26,000 jobs in mining, particularly in coal and ferrous metal ferrous metals sectors. We also lost jobs in agriculture as well as manufacturing, where each of them lost 15,000 jobs. Private households lost about 9,000 jobs.
Yeah. And just a last question, perhaps give us a sense of, if at all, whether the institution measures those who leave the formal employment market and enter the informal economy. That is to say, I stop looking for a job and I become an entrepreneur, street hawker potentially, or as many would call it, the hustler economy. Is there a measurement of that at all?
We don't measure whether people leave formal and enter into informal economy. What we measure are increases or decreases in the formal economy, and what we have seen in the formal sector. And we have seen that the formal sector has gone down from the previous quarter, and indeed the informal sector increased a bit in this quarter from the previous quarter. But whether people are moving from sectors, we don't do that, because there are three sectors that we are tracking: the formal sector, informal sector, as well as private households.
Yeah, well, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time. Really do appreciate it. That is the Statistician-General of Stats SA, Risenga Maluleke, talking to us there on the unemployment numbers published today.